guess what? Remember this? He's going, first of all, Biden is going to Saudi Arabia, ending its pariah status. As a candidate, President Biden vowed to punish the kingdom for brutal assassination of Jamal Khashoggi. But now he wants to rebuild relations as he seeks to lower gas prices and isolate Russia because his big plan in Ukraine is blowing up in his stupid fucking face. So President Biden, who was a candidate, vowed to make Saudi Arabia a pariah in response to the assassination of a prominent dissident, has decided to travel to Riyadh this month to rebuild relations with the oil-rich kingdom at a time when he is seeking to lower gas prices at home and isolate. So Biden's going to rebuild relations. How's he going to do that? Well, let's just say he'll be taking his dentures out, if you know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about? And that's what he's going to be doing to some Saudi cock. Okay? And Joe Biden, in departure from Obama policy, says he would make Saudi Arabia a pariah. That's what he said in 2019. Whoa, pariah. I meant to say Mariah. I was going to get Mariah Carey to sing for your birthday because I know how much you guys love her. That's what I meant to say. And I was even going to get Russell Peters to do 10 minutes up top. It was supposed to be a surprise. So here's what Joe Biden used to say about Saudi Arabia when he was running for president. Jamal Khashoggi and his loved ones deserve accountability. Under a Biden-Harris administration, we will reassess our relationship with the kingdom, end U.S. support for Saudi Arabia's war in Yemen, and make sure America does not check its values at the door to sell arms or buy oil. Turns out we're doing exactly that. You can't parody these fucking people anymore. It's amazing. So, I will defend the right of activists, political dissidents, and journalists as he's trying to kill Julian Assange, and the rights of journalists around the world to speak their minds freely without fear of persecution and violence. Jamal's death will not be in vain, and we owe it to his memory to fight for a more and just free world. Yes. Yeah. So he's going back on the whole thing. He's going back on all that. And because Trump's opinion was, what are you going to do? We need Saudi Arabia. They killed a journalist. They chopped him up. What are you going to do? That was Trump's position. And Biden's just going to try. So Biden was saying he was going to fight Saudi Arabia no matter what the cost, just like he did with those kids in cages. And now that's all over. This visit represents the triumph of realpolitik. I love that word. It keeps showing up. Realpolitik. This represents, wait a minute. Oh, wait, here, I forgot this. During his stop in Riyadh, the president will meet with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, the guy who had Jamal Khashoggi chopped up, who was deemed responsible for the dismemberment of the dissident, the Washington Post columnist Jamal Khashoggi. Well, I guess Biden is going to have to disremember all the shit he said about Saudi Arabia when he was running for office. And just get to sucking some Saudi, because that's what it's going to take. The visit represents a triumph of realpolitik over moral outrage, according to foreign policy experts. There's that word, realpolitik. We had it on the show the other day, and now it shows it means when you pretend you have different politics than your opponent, but you really don't. That's what that means. In the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, Mr. Biden has found it necessary to court other energy producers to replace oil from Moscow and stabilize world markets. The group of oil-producing nations called OPEC Plus. They're called OPEC. I didn't know they were called OPEC Plus. I thought it was just OPEC. That's it. So the group of oil-producing nations called OPEC Plus. But did you know that Do you know who's also in OPEC Plus, by the way? Russia. It's the old OPEC that we love, plus 10 non-OPEC countries, including Russia. That's OPEC Plus. That's OPEC Plus. Did you know that, Jackson?
It sounds like it's a far more inclusive OPEC.
It's
right in time for Pride Month.
OPEC is about diversity.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you see barrels of oil, they'll be painted in the pride flag color. That's how you know it's good oil. It's good. It's moral oil. Let me see. American officials expect the group to do more in the fall, but it may not be enough to bring down prices at the pump before November's congressional elections. Yeah, no, it's not. They're not gonna increase enough. No, it's not. The Biden administration has already been stepping up cooperation with Saudi Arabia on a variety of issues, like murdering Yemenis people. What the fuck's a Yemen? With Saudi Arabia on a variety of issues, even before Russia's invasion of Ukraine roiled world energy markets, particularly in seeking an end to the 8-year-old Saudi-led war in neighboring Yemen. Yeah. A 2-month-old truce was extended on Thursday, and Mr. Biden praised Saudi leaders for their role after they killed 500,000 people in Yemen. Saudi Arabia demonstrated courageous leadership by taking initiatives early on to endorse and implement terms of the UN-led truce, the statement said. The diplomacy and the president's trip signify an effort to repair the rupture in relations stemming from the 2018 death of Mr. Khashoggi. American intelligence concluded that Prince Mohammed, the de facto leader of the kingdom, ordered the hit team that killed and dismembered Mr. Khashoggi at a consul in Istanbul. After taking office, Mr. Biden released the intelligence report on Mr. Khashoggi's murder as a statement of accountability, and he imposed sanctions on some of those involved in the killing. But he took no action against Prince Mohammed, drawing a limit to how far he was willing to break with Riyadh. Okay, he didn't do shit. The administration argues that it ended the Trump's team policy of blank checks for Riyadh, but was not willing to end America's nearly 8-decade-old friendship with Saudi Arabia, which has been an important ally on a variety of fronts. Saudi Arabia is a critical partner to us in dealing with extremism in the region. The extremists in the region are Saudi Arabia and the United States. And Israel. Those would be your extremists. And also, I hope in continuing the process of building relationships between Israel and its neighbors. Who said that? Secretary of State Antony Blinken. He said that on Wednesday at an event of the 100th anniversary of the Foreign Affairs magazine. Well, isn't that something? He said that human rights are still important, but we are addressing the totality of our interests in the relationship. So basically, what Trump said about Saudi Arabia, but more corporate and professional. That's it.
That's what we voted for.
That's what we voted for. By the way, you know, Saudi Arabia executed 81 people in one day for terrorism-related offenses.
Well, they got a lot of terrorists.
Boy, oh boy. Did you know that, and they do all their executions by beheading. And you know what? It's actually more humane than the way we do it in the United States, which is often painful and doesn't kill the person. That's ironic. That
if the guy's good at it.
Well, if the guy's good at beheadings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy on his first day is not going to be better.
Yeah, but believe me, they've got some journeyman beheaders. The newly planned stop in Riyadh, previously reported by David Ignatius, a columnist for The Post, produced quick criticisms from human rights groups. They denounced any diplomatic rehabilitation of Prince Mohammed. Well, and Biden said, suck it, we need oil. That's right. Isn't that what he said? All right. Right now, Biden is buffeted by intersecting crisis, and a certain human rights priorities are suffering as a result. Oh my God, he's buffered by intersecting crises. And so now human rights priorities are suffering, not human rights, not human beings, but human rights priorities. It sounds, those are the, oh, well, As long as it's not a real person. The harder it gets to put human rights above politics, the more consequential it is for the world to witness a leader willing to do so. Okay. Hey, Suzanne, are you a sucker? Because we don't actually care about that shit. Okay? We don't really care about human rights, and we're never going to put them above. Okay? In an interview last month with Arab News, a Saudi news outlet, Prince Turki Al Faisal, a senior member of the royal family and son of former king, he laid out a number of the kingdom's grievances against their most important ally, saying that the Saudis felt let down by the United States. We just feel let down. Like Joe Biden doesn't know we can fuck him in the ass with our oil anytime we feel like it. Say, feel let down.
We wouldn't say anything if you wanted to dismember a guy.
We're not saying shit about what you're doing to Julian Assange or Edward Snowden or how you tortured Chelsea Manning. We didn't say anything about that. We were being good oligarchs. And now you're pissed off about one guy who worked for the Washington Post that we had dismembered in a consulate in Istanbul? What's one dismembered journalist between war criminals? Am I right?
That's a average Tuesday afternoon for the Ukrainian SBU.
That's yes.
And you know what? WAPO got Taylor Lorenz, so they're back up a reporter.
Saudi Crown Prince snubbed Joe Biden's request to discuss the oil crisis brought about by Russia's invasion of Ukraine. So that's not good for the United States. You know what else is not good for the petrodollar? This. Look at these two guys getting along like mofos. Look at that. We're pals.
That's the opposite of a snub. A hearty high five.
Yep. Look at her, all shits and giggles. They just did coke in the bathroom together. That's what it looks like.
OPEC plus.
OPEC plus. Saudi invites China's President Xi as relations with Washington remain soured. We're effing ourselves. Oh, by the way, Germany and Italy agree to pay for Russian gas in rubles. It's all over, folks. It's all over. Joe Biden's back sucking the of the people and the Saudi prince, trying to get some gas and oil from him. They're chopping up journalists. Joe Biden's trying to kill a journalist right now. And everybody pretends like we're the good guys. We are the bad guys.
Well, what's funny, Saudi Arabia, they really can turn the oil off whenever they want because they're not like they have nationalized oil wells, so it's like a matter of national defense for them.
Yes,
so we let them. They sell to whoever they want, private industry. So when we put sanctions on the global market, it fucks us.
Yes, us.
And the other incredible thing about this is it all ties back to Biden's promise on March 8th to end Russian oil imports into the United States, of course, of which he couldn't do without the help of the Saudis or the UAE or Venezuela, who all declined to open up their oil reserves. And then Biden went on to almost double the amount of oil that he was taking in from Russia into the United States in the month of March. So this is what it all ties back to. And then when Saudi Arabia didn't open up their oil reserves for us, Biden thought he would punish them. So he released documents that no one would have ever seen coming, showing that the royal family in Saudi Arabia was tied to 9/11. That didn't get them to budge. So now he's going to have to go over there and beg for the oil because punishing them didn't work.
What did they re-release that Michael Moore movie?
It was like, everyone knew this. Thanks for pointing out the obvious.
Yeah, so Joe Biden thought he had a gotcha on the prince by saying that, hey, we're going to let people know you were involved in 9/11. That's what his gotcha was?
Yeah, and the New York Times came out with it. They had this big official investigation that they published, and everyone just kind of was like, yeah, no, you're 10 years late.
Oh, how did I miss this story? I must have been.
Oh, I don't know. I thought you would have seen it.
I must have had COVID. I bet I had brain fog on COVID, and I was in Texas. And I was busy denying women the right to choose.
Either that or Havana syndrome.
Okay. All right. So there you go. Joe Biden back in Saudi Arabia. Is there one campaign promise he hasn't broken? Is there one he hasn't broken? I don't think so. I think he's broken every one. And they say Trump was the liar. It's amazing.
He promised to get out of Afghanistan, or was that like a surprise?
The only reason Joe Biden was that they let Joe Biden get out of Afghanistan because they knew he was going to do $54 billion in Ukraine immediately. Yeah. And that's, don't think they weren't planning this. Of course. That's what I said. I'm like, why are they letting him pull out of this war? They must have another one lined up. Well, I knew they were ratcheting up tensions with China. So here we are in the Ukraine. So they got this, and they got $54 billion out of it. You know what we could do in America with $54 billion? We could change the whole country with $54 billion. If you invested it, you could change the whole country. Here we're doing stand-up comedy in Irvine, California, Las Vegas, San Diego, Salt Lake City, Indianapolis, Louisville, all over the place. Go to jimmydorecomedy.com for a link for tickets.